I take refuge in the truths of the Dharma, not because I read them somewhere, not because some teacher said it, not because I figured it out somehow, but because I pay very close, clear, loving, compassionate attention to my own experience in this moment. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I acknowledge the utter mystery of consciousness. Not so long ago, we woke up from sleep. If it was the first time we ever did that, we would be stunned. What is this? And we take as our meditation object life. Contact with the chair, contact with clothing. And the metronome of our lives, this breathing in and breathing out. And we can clarify our intention. Perhaps for this morning's practice. I will approach it with curiosity. If the mind is tending toward quiet and concentration, I will choose to be emphasizing concentration. If the hindrances are alive, particularly if they're strong, I will use the breath as my home base, with the intention of awakening into awareness of desire and aversion, craving. I want this, I don't want that. to the reality of restlessness, agitation, and worry. To the hindrance of sloth and torpor, dullness. Skeptical doubt. All these I intend to notice for what they are. It does take a certain effort. Sitting comfortably upright, sitting still. Noticing the various impulses to move, to stretch, to scratch, to drink. We embrace life. Each breath as it emerges, as it rises to fullness and then declines and vanishes. Same with thoughts, moods. Sometimes awareness is such, concentration is such, that as the mind begins to formulate a wandering, it's noticed right in its first blossoming. It vanishes. Other times a wandering mind can be an extended journey. A thought of the past or the future that gets decorated with emotion, with associations, with liking and disliking. And then that which knows, that which is awake and observing, is gone for some time. This is not failure. This is the normal human mind. And so we are cultivating the former. To be awake sooner, more of the time, in more and more challenging circumstances. Breathing in and breathing out. Attending to each breath in turn that exists in the present moment. coming back time and again to being awake now. To this moment of this breath, to the center of this mood, this emotion. Awakening to the stories that are told. The stories with the characteristic of I, me, and mine. This is my opinion about that. Simplifying for this time. And we practice in a container of love and compassion. I aspire to love and accept this that I experience as myself. the experiences of these sense doors, including the mind, as they arise and pass away. And when this aliveness involves pain, disappointment, hurting, suffering, I intend to hold myself in sweet, gentle compassion and mercy, to treat myself mercifully. To acknowledge myself as a work in progress. Resting back into the breath, into the present moment. Before long, we will be engaging in the activities of the day. Formal meditation will be a memory. But we can clarify our intention to be mindful in all daily activities. To really commit ourselves to waking up. Think of some activity you'll be doing today, maybe driving, maybe making food, maybe bathing, exercising, working at the computer, carrying wood. Form the intention. Imagine yourself doing that with really clear, simple awareness. And now, opening to the entirety of the human body, yours. All the way from the tips of the toes, through the feet and the ankles and the calves and shins, the knees and the thighs, the pelvis, the genitals, opening to everything that exists in the human body, the organs cradled in the cup of the pelvis, the sacrum, the buttocks, the back. From the pubic bone deeply into the abdomen, up into the diaphragm and the chest and the heart, the fingers and hands, thumbs, wrists and forearms and upper arms and elbow, and the shoulder, left and right, armpits, neck, jaw, cheeks, the tongue in the mouth, the upper lip, the nose, the eyes, the forehead, the scalp, the ears, an awakening in the eyes, in the breathing, in the whole body. And forming the prompted intention to allow the eyes to open. And making that effort that's required to open them. And then observing the emergence of seeing. Seeing. And we can see with the eyes of gratitude and blessing. Cultivate a wish in the heart, a blessing. May this person be happy. May this person be free from fear and danger today. May this person be protected from an encounter with COVID today. It just occurred to me to try something. If you feel so, possibly, please raise your hand if you know you've had COVID. Huh. Well, may it remain that way. I have just these simple announcements this morning. The same things I've been saying, that I will not be teaching on Sunday. I will tomorrow morning. I'm teaching a retreat at Hollyhock, through Hollyhock, Saturday and Sunday. It's large. There's 80 people signed up. And Tiffany is helping me, which is great. And also, there's a person from Hollyhock who will be helping with the tech stuff. Though I've got to get this microphone working again. They can't help with that. So also Saturday morning and early afternoon, Candle and Gary will be teaching a retreat. And Sunday night, Candle is on, or once every 2 weeks or twice a month, gathering on Sunday night. So I think I want to open to you. What's happening? Are there questions? Are there things to celebrate? Discoveries of small or monumental proportions of how the practice is affecting you? I think my receiving sound is on.
Robert, this is Joshua.
Hello, Joshua. It is on. Hooray.
Good morning, sir.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm tired this morning. The class went till 9:15 last night, and then it took me about an hour to get home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's late. That's about what time I made it too. Just with your microphone troubles, something that I've bumped into in the past is there's a 10 dB boost or a cut somewhere on either the mic or something else that sometimes if I don't hit that, it affects sound. So for what that's worth, checking the mic, maybe that got punched somewhere. It sounded like that might have been an issue.
Yeah.
But I just also wanted to share that I was really in touch during the meditation today about feeling a real clearing, an emotional clearing. It's like this whirlwind of just, I don't know, difficult emotions that are not huge or connected to any one circumstance, but just a lot of residual stuff that feels like it's being blown off right now. It's been an extremely busy period. The last 2 months making everything happen that's happened in our lives and just getting over a surgery and getting sick and trying to come back to a sense of equilibrium. But I was sitting here in meditation just feeling this whirlwind of I don't know, self-resentment, remorse, desire, sadness, joy, it just, I don't know, just it feels like just things being peeled off. So that's been my experience this morning. So sitting with that for what that's worth.
Lots of anicca.
A lot of anicca, a lot of anicca, and reaching deeply past that to what's real and true in the teaching of the Dharma, and holding on to that. So thank you so much for this morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Robert. This is Vic.
Hello, Vic.
Hello. So I know you're just getting off the Four Foundation of Mindfulness class that you were giving, and you've talked about it quite a bit too. But when I look at the text of the Four Foundations, and I was trying to figure out where emotions fall, and it didn't seem like they call out emotions specifically in there. And I was wondering if you could help connect where that kind of falls.
You know, I'm not really exactly sure. Emotions they certainly can fall into feeling. We can observe emotions as pleasant, unpleasant, and indeterminate. And that can help us really attend to what the affective experience and the motivational component of emotions is. Emotions are also mental formations. They certainly they exist, and they exist in mind, and they also exist in body. So mindfulness of the body, I mean, it's one of the traditional, really skillful things to do with when emotions are running or wanting to run. When you have that lump in the throat, to then attend to the body and see what happens there. What is alive in the body when there's emotion happening. So they really manifest across the four foundations of mindfulness. And it's a model. It's a model that points us toward observing things arising and passing away. That any help?
Yes. Yeah. But I just wanted to kind of cross-check that I wasn't missing something about any specific portion explicitly. It's more of an implicit call-out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I guess, of course, what a useful research project to really understand the model, to know the Satipatthana Sutra fairly well, and then to go through life and see where emotions fit. And then we would know. It wouldn't be an idea, it would be, right, I get it. A lot of people stumble or have difficulty accepting or finding that emotions always have a body base. People say, well, I feel it in my head, or I feel it in, and sometimes it takes some sleuthing, some quieting to notice that, in fact, emotions do have a body base. They are bioelectronic consciousness phenomena. And they developed for survival reasons. And we share them with other animals. And I take, on Wednesdays when I vacate the house, I take both dogs. And Dobby doesn't get to go very many places. Buddha's always going with me when I go places, or anyway. And Dobby goes nuts. She's heavy. She's not really too heavy, but she's a big black lab of her ilk. And she gets and she's got arthritic issues and so on. She gets all 4 feet off the ground in her excitement. She's just kind of bouncing almost like a poodle. And we get out to the car and she's just, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And I was watching that and I was thinking, I think that's excitement. And she's experiencing excitement and a certain kind of happiness in a way, excited happiness. Pretty obvious, right? She's having a strong emotion. And when I leave Budo at home, I think he's having an emotion too. He just sits there and watches for me all day. He's on the back of the couch like a cat, and he watches for me. As Jennifer puts it, where's my dad? Where's my dad? Where's my dad? He doesn't eat well when I'm gone, and it doesn't eat well anytime. But so our pets have feelings, emotions.
And I guess the same could be said of thoughts too, right? So, I mean, I don't think the foundations explicitly call out thoughts in the map, but they kind of manifest themselves in several places, except maybe in the mindfulness of the mind, they explicitly call out I guess craving and illusion.
Thoughts rooted in.
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't call thoughts, like planning thoughts or, self-hatred thoughts or something like that. They don't call that out as a separate object explicitly somewhere in the map either.
It's not in the Satipatthana Sutra, but it is time-honored to practice that way, to notice past. Because some of us are melancholic and we're back in the past and we're always remembering bad things that happened to us, and and so on, or good things, and we wish we were back there. Others of us are very focused on the future, on positive things I want to achieve, or fear of the future. And so it is useful to notice the tense of thoughts, and also like self-hating thoughts. It's very useful to have a specific note. There it is. There's that self-hating thought again. Though those thoughts are also often woven into, or what's the word, mixed up with feeling and emotion. So it isn't a pure system. And there's all kinds of strategies people have developed over 2,600 years to set us free.
Thank you.
Hi, Robert. It's David here.
Hello, David.
Hi, Robert. How are you doing today?
I'm tired.
Me too. So, there's a poem that keeps coming to mind when I sit, and I think it might pertain to the discussion right now as well. It's from the Persian poet Hafiz, and I thought I'd just share it with the Sangha.
Great.
It keeps on coming up in my practice for some reason. And before I start, it was written at a time when men was used to refer to both genders, but we know that's not true. But I'm not going to self-edit it, but it does pertain to all genders. So, but the poem goes, I painted myself into a corner here. It goes, the small man builds cages for everyone he knows, while the wise man, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful, rowdy prisoners. And I just find I used to think of that as being something that was about self and other, but I realize more and more that it's about all things happening inside myself. The small man and the wise man is part of who I am as well. And that dropping keys is part of the practice. So I thought I would share that with you in the group.
Would you please say that again? Recite that again?
Sure. I've got something stuck in my throat. It goes, the small man builds cages for everyone he knows, while the wise man, who has to duck his head when the moon is low, keeps dropping keys all night long for the beautiful, rowdy prisoners.
Nice.
Thank you all.
I can see that very easily in this mind, that it's slowly emerging from the habit of putting everyone in a cage, having an opinion, a narrow opinion about everyone, and discovering that those opinions are really unnecessary limitations. Yeah.
Hi, Robert. This is Karen.
Hello, Karen.
How are you?
Hi.
I enjoyed the poem. I've been dropping my keys a lot, and I wanted to thank you for this meditation time. It's been really wonderful. But yesterday I was at Silver Falls hiking, and my birthday's tomorrow, and so I wanted to just be out in nature, give myself that present. And it was so cold. I mean, it was just bitter cold and icy, and I did the whole loop. It was really long. And I kept dropping my keys because I kept thinking about how cold it was. And, I was kind of miserable and I couldn't feel my fingers and, just the whole thing. But then I became aware of the fact that I was aware of that. And so during the whole hike, I kept coming back to the beauty of nature, and there's a lot of death going on right now in nature, especially at Silver Falls, because all the leaves are there's just this rust color everywhere. And of course the falls are just exploding, they're very beautiful. But the whole time I was there, I was observing this emotion that I was, physically I was uncomfortable. And then just coming back to the beauty, and so that poem really is appropriate about dropping your keys and kind of coming back. But for me, I used to kind of get down on myself, like, oh, there I go, kind of that stinking thinking. But now I realize that, as you've said many times in the meditation, the moment that you realize that your mind is wandering or going to I like this, I don't like this, that's awareness.
Yeah. Great. How lovely you got to have a day out in the woods. And
Yeah, it was wonderful. Of course, when I came back, a friend of mine told me that I live in McMinnville, and she said it was like the high temperature of this in the state or something. So I was like, of course. But it was really wonderful, and it was something that I wanted to do, to be out in nature. But I've been kind of invisible here, but I discovered you maybe a month ago, and I've been doing my meditation kind of by myself, and it's been really nice to just to know that I've got all these other people. I usually look and see how many people there are, and it's different when I meditate, and I know there's other people meditating at the same time. So thank you.
You're most welcome. And you gave us a hint, which is that tomorrow's your birthday. So,
That's
of
right.
course, we ought to do this. If you'd unmute, folks. You ready?
Oh, no, you don't have to.
I know we don't have to, but we can we? Why not? Happy
Sure.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you.
Many more.
Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful.
I love the way the spotlight picks up on different people. It's just great. Anybody else have something to share? Please. Any other birthdays to reveal? It's a nice ritual, isn't it? Happy birthday.
I turned 43 yesterday.
Oh, who's speaking? I can't see. Oh, Michelina.
And I had something I wanted to share that was kind of related. That I had a really close friendship that got really messy a couple of years ago. It was a friendship where we were doing a lot of healing and healing community together, and our wounds got really close to each other, and we did some rewounding. And our friendship got messy, and then I had some unskillful anger, and in that messiness, and some unskillful handling of my emotions, and the friendship ended up needing to take a break. And my friend told me that she was taking a break from me, and it was a really painful thing. But I also recognize it is really necessary for both of us. And yesterday, and I usually spent my birthday with her, and I often spent Thanksgiving with her as well. And it was difficult to not be with her. And yesterday she reached out and she wished me a happy birthday over text. And I had been composing like a letter to her in my head for like the last month. And I received her text, and I was able to just say the things I wanted to say, and just tell her that I was sorry for the way that I handled my feelings, and that I've really been missing her, and that I'm in a much more peaceful place than I was before, and that I've been able to come to a place where I'm able to deal with my feelings better. And at the time, I had told her, like, when we talked a couple years ago, I I said, I'm really sorry that I was really angry with you and that I handled it like this. But I said, I know I'm in a place where I cannot guarantee it won't happen again, because I know that I'm in a place where I'm processing all this anger and it's very alive in me.
Mm.
And I told her, I said, I can't guarantee that that it won't happen again, but I want to always invite you to take the space from me that you need. And I felt like that kind of like preserved the possibility of having this reconnection, and then to be able to tell her yesterday that I really felt like I was in a more peaceful place, and that I do feel capable of handling my emotions differently,
Mm.
was such a gift. And I know that two factors that are really huge in that are, one, Zoloft, and two, meditation practice. And
Mhm.
I've been practicing meditation since May daily, and my practice has ramped up from like 20 minutes a day to sometimes an hour and a half a day. And in the last like couple months of sitting with all of you and getting the guidance from teachers and sangha members, and having that like really inform and deepen my practice, and shift it in these really profound ways, has been such a gift. So I really felt like I got to reap the benefits of the gift of meditation for my birthday yesterday, and it was really lovely to get to spend so much time with all of you yesterday, in the morning and in the evening, and I just want to say thank you.
And I think you should unmute. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Michalina. Happy birthday to you. Anything?
Robert, this is Judy.
Hello, Judy. Where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Yes, great. Thank you.
I have a question born out of the discussion last night.
Uh-huh.
Trying to understand the difference between concentration and mindfulness.
Mm.
I feel like I get the concentration piece, where it feels to me like if a hindrance arises, I just sort of turn my back on it and go right back to the breath. And the mindfulness piece is harder for me. I'm not sure. There's the idea that I would just maybe note it, like, okay, there's worry again, and then go back to my breath. But then a lot of times you talk about when the hindrances are strong, just turning around completely and going deeply into them. And then there's also the idea that I've gotten from reading about looking and trying to actually see the impermanence and the dukkha. But then when I do that, when I say, okay, here's worry now. Yes, let's look at that. Yes, it is impermanent. Yes, it's causing suffering. And then I feel like I'm thinking, and I've gone into thinking instead of being mindful. So just trying to get a grasp on that.
Well, that's very well put, your question, your comment. None of the concepts are accurate. The only thing that's true and accurate is our own direct experience. So, we create these concepts. One is, what could I use? I could use this gonger. When concentration is blossoming, when concentration is present, the awareness, the mind, the attention comes to the object and takes the object and stays. And it stays there despite some potential distractions. A sound might come up. Sometimes when people are really deep in meditation, you can actually come and touch them or shake them, and they won't emerge because they're so deeply into concentration. So that's a description. Hang on here. I'm gonna do a little muting. Oh, there we go. Concentration is this ability to stay here. There's another ability which knows, oh, concentration is really developed right now. Not so much with words, but there's just this knowing. Concentration is, this mind is concentrated. That's mindfulness. That's awareness. And they're not really separate things, but it's a way we can think about these, the propensity in more mind moments. When concentration is high, there's more mind moments when the mind is really present with its object. Mindfulness can just as well notice, let's say the mind is jumping around, it's worrying, or it's playing, or it's wanting something. There isn't much concentration in wanting, or restlessness or fear, but there isn't stable concentration like this. However, mindfulness can be quite aware that the mind is really restless. And the mind is restless and there isn't much concentration here. And so one of the antidotes for restlessness and agitation is turn up the concentration. So here I am, here's the mind being restless, and because I have a little diagnostic labeling, I can know there's restlessness. Well, I've heard that emphasizing concentration might help with this, and so then we target. It's called initial application. We initially apply. We then make some effort to stay, and lo and behold, the restlessness and agitation diminishes, and we then discover, oh yes, concentration. This is concentration, and this is restlessness. So is that any help as a description?
Yeah, that helps describe the concentration side of it, but then the other side where you would choose to either I intend to use this time to concentrate, or I intend to use this time to be mindful. How would the mindful be different than that?
Mindfulness is a miracle. And we don't really have any idea where it comes from. It's the awareness of the universe, somehow utterly mysterious. And then we take and we say, well, I'm awake, I'm mindful. And when we create the conditions for mindfulness, which is sitting down, practicing as we do, it would appear that sometimes we have the choice. Let's say the mind is full of restlessness. We can hardly find the breath. In that case, we might choose, well, I'm not going to try to be concentrated on the breath. In fact, I'll put the breath aside completely, and I'm just going to sort of abide here. They use that term abiding in the translation. The four foundations of mindfulness literally translate as pastures, the four pastures of abiding. So I'm going to abide. Since restlessness, agitation, and worry are so up right now, I'm just going to abide here in restlessness, agitation, and worry and watch the fireworks. I'm just going to let them happen. Or maybe it's sadness, or maybe it's aversion, disliking. Maybe one had a conflict with someone, and then there's all that rehashing afterwards, and I said and she said and they said and I shouldn't have said, and I feel bad about myself and all that. We can allow that to occur, and simply observe it. Simply be present with it as it unwinds. And that's then a practice which is more emphasizing mindfulness than concentration. Because the concentration would be, I'm going to close this down and get back to my primary object. Or, well, since I don't have any choice, since this thing is out of control, I'm going to let it be what it is, but I'm not going to cease practicing. I'm going to be very attentive to, oh, this is my rendition of the neurotic mind. Is that getting closer?
Yeah. So I could be concentrating and then notice that worry has arisen, and then notice that thinking about worry and what I'm supposed to do about it has arisen, and then just turn around and go back to concentrate.
Yeah. And it's really an art, and every person does what we do to master it. And sometimes I think I knew a fellow named Roger Walsh. I don't know if he's even still alive. He was one of the founders of the transpersonal psychotherapy movement. Really an amazing guy. I got to hang out with him for a couple of days one time. And he and his wife, Frances Vaughan, I think was his wife, they tried, and he did the 3-month retreat at the Insight Meditation Society, something like for 25 years. And he was also the director of psychiatry training at one of the University of California sites. So a very interesting fellow. And he wrote a paper that I read one time about how for a year he did 2 hours a day of meditation and made no effort. No effort to be constant. He just sat there. And then for a year, he really made a lot of effort to be concentrated. And he wrote a paper of what it was like for him with his experiment with an N of 1 doing this. And that's sort of what we're all doing. How quote hard should I try to be concentrated? And there's the grinding down, and that's not it. But the emphasis could be, no matter what arises, I'm going to try to stay with my primary object, with the breath, for instance, or with a mantra, or with a mudra, some movement that we're doing. We could do that and be with that. Or we could say, I'm not going to work on concentration at all. I'm just going to sit here and be aware and see what happens. And what my experience is, what happens is sometimes concentration comes along no matter what. And sometimes concentration is hard to come by, depending upon the amount of uproar in my life. So you're an artist. You're an artist in consciousness.
Okay, thank you.
And you've got a wonderful palette of colors. So to experiment with all of them. Well, it's 8:20. Anybody sitting on something you'd like to ask before we go? Ask or share. Well, let us unmute and go out on a song. The song. You ready? May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Happy trails, dear friends. Stay safe.
Be well, be well, be well, everyone.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for coming to the party.
Have a good day, Robert.
Mm,
Thank you.
nap time. Mm. Bye. Oh. Goodbye, dear friends. Have a lovely day. Happy mommying, Cat.
Thank you.
Goodbye, dear friends on Facebook.